In the upcoming, you're going to learn if a real professional run coach is better at training advice than AI in real time on the spot, how an intermediate that's not really a beginner but also not really advanced runner that's in their 50s can approach training and life and figuring out how to melt those all together, why there might be a little bit of a concern if coffee is the only way to get you to wake up and get going in the morning, why that marathon best time goal you have might not be in full alignment with living your best life as you get older, and are the artificial intelligent robots really that much better than human coaches? Are they? Well, we'll find out. Let's get into it. All right, so case study number 2. We've got a runner in their early 50s that just started running in their mid 40s. Okay, so they're coming to you and they're in their early 50s. They started running about 5-6 years ago. They love it, but they keep getting injured if they run longer than 45 minutes or too much in a week. They're genetically predisposed to hamstring issues, as this is what they tell you. Their fastest time to date is a 4:20 marathon, and they want to run under 4 hours. They can only run 3 to 4 times a week. They have time to do 2 by 30-minute strength sessions. They complain about being tired a lot and need caffeine to wake up. They also have to care for sick parents and have a demanding job. What kind of training plan would you prescribe to them over the next 6 months so that they could try to run sub 4 hours? So we have an exact time now. The other one was just like, I just want to run my best time. We have an exact sub 4 hours, but their best time was 4:20 marathon. Again, break it down into 2 periods, base and race, and try to describe in detail each weekday and how it would progress, if you can.
So we've got 6 months to look at, which is half a year, 25 weeks, roughly a bit more, 26. So we're probably looking at splitting it up evenly, because I'd like the base to be as long as possible. But again, if you're getting ready for marathon, you need that to be long. So probably 12 weeks of each plan with... we've been rough here, 12 weeks each plan and a little bit of a taper in there. So that's how I could split that up. But what I need to look at actually before we get into the specifics is there's a lot there that worries me. Are they actually taking something on that's a little bit beyond what they should be doing? I'd be looking at actually trying to talk them and find out more about how realistic this is. Caring for elderly parents, that's stressful and it's fatiguing. I'm also very concerned that they need caffeine to wake up on a morning. I mean, I love a coffee, but if that's what's getting you out of bed each morning, it means you're not getting enough sleep. So they're already sleep deprived, already fatigued, their body is stressed. They're pretty much, probably if they drink a lot of coffee, could be dehydrated. It could be that they're not fueling correctly, and this is leading to injuries and things. So we need to look at the bigger picture, and they might actually need to step back. It might be that these 2 periods don't work. I would almost say, well, look, let's just have a 6 weeks period where we cut the training right back. We focus on strength and conditioning work. So instead of focusing on the running, let's say prioritize the gym work, getting the diet right, getting the fluid intake right, getting the sleep. And that might mean we have to take time off the running and prioritize 3 strength sessions a week of probably around about 45 minutes each. Let's look at getting strong in the gym, building up the hamstrings, the quads, the glutes, core, the connective tissues. Make a period of running where we're doing drills uphill again. Some skipping, some hopping, some form work with strength based in there. And let's not push much distance. Now, this will shock the runner because they want to get ready for the marathon. And if you're doing the distance, you can't really build up that gym work and the strength work. So this is where I think I might vary a little bit from chat on this one, that I want to have a 6-week block of strength work, then maybe a couple of weeks of easy running, and then transition into a base period where I'd still be doing the strength work, but I'd cut it down to maybe 2 times a week. And in my block of 12 weeks of base, I would try and get them to gradually build up the distance, while also maintaining some leg speed work, drills, and strength work. I wouldn't focus anything on specific times for the marathon in the base period. I just want to build up a big base and get them strong. And I'd also be stressing their diet, checking their diet is good. I'd be checking that their fluid intake is good, that they're not dehydrated. I'd be checking in on them to see how stressed they were. And if they're really busy and stressed with the parents and not sleeping enough, I'd cut the program down and give them easy days and rest days. So that would be interactive as we go. And then once we've got through that base period, assuming they get through that okay, the hamstring's starting to loosen up a bit, they're running okay, then I'd get them onto a plan. They want 4 hours. Whether it's realistic or not, it's touch and go. Taking 20 minutes off a marathon time from 4:20 to 4 is tough. But we can set them on a plan, and I would get them started on the race plan with easy running and intervals at 4-hour pace from day one. But I would keep the intervals light, so there wouldn't be a lot of volume in there. So maybe they're just doing 5K, which is 1/8 of the marathon distance. They'd be doing 5K at race pace, and then we'd gradually build up over the weeks to 10K at race pace, 15K at race pace, and probably I'd push it to a maximum of about 20K of training at race pace before unleashing them on the marathon, and I'd have 12 weeks to do that. It's still going to be a tough ask. If I had an option, I would say, no, I don't want you doing this. I would really want them looking at a year's plan and spending 6 months on getting their lifestyle sorted, their sleep up, their strength work done, and push everything back so that the marathon is not in 6 months' time. It's in a year's time. So that was how I would approach it. They've got too much going on in their life. You can just see from the lack of sleep, the stress, the caffeine, there's too much going on to be training for a sub 4-hour marathon for them. And again, I haven't even covered the issue that they're in the 50s. You know, recovery times take a lot longer than someone in the 20s. In the 20s, I'd say, okay, gun-ho, let's go for it. You know, maybe. But in the 50s, quality of life is more important, and having a healthy, you know, good quality of life for a longer period of time is much more important than hitting an artificial number that ultimately is meaningless in the big scheme of things. You know, 4 hours, 4 hours, it's not going to change your quality of life. It psychologically might make you feel better, but we've got to focus on quality of life and living a good quality of life for a longer period of time than hitting a certain number. I want to be fit and active for as long as I can, to as old as I can, and then have a quick and painless death. I mean, to be totally blunt about it. So, you know, if 80 is the number I reach because that's the way I'm designed, I want to be running and lifting weights and doing everything and chatting quite happily till I'm 80, and then, you know, that's it. But I'm hoping that with all the work, strength work and weight training and balance of life, that I'm going to live on to be 100. You know, that's the plan. So if I plan to be 100, I will. I think if people plan to live to be 80, they probably will fall apart around 80. So I'm planning to live well into my hundreds and see what happens. Yeah, so I doubt ChatGPT will be telling the runner not to go for that time. You're telling ChatGPT that they want to do a 4:20, so it's going to come up with a plan to get sub 4 hours. Whereas I would be more, let's come up with a holistic approach, include training and running, and let them run the marathon and enjoy the marathon, but in a holistic lifestyle.
Let's see what ChatGPT says. I'll give it the right prompt. It's all about prompting here. So this is for our next one. Let's ask it. This is what I asked you, but I'll just say, using the selected text, what kind of training plan would you prescribe to them over the next 3 to 6 months to try to run sub 4 hours? All right, I think that's good enough. Let's see what the robot says. It's amazing that it spits it out this fast. That is absolutely crazy. I know it's a robot, but
it's still.
The craziest thing is that, like, this is going to become normal. Like, you know how your iPhone works and you just go, oh, it works. But like 20 years ago, like, oh my God, how does this thing work? And now it just works. You're like, whatever. We just take everything for granted. Like, we're going to start taking this for granted very soon because it will become normal. All right. So this is what it said. In order for this individual to try to run sub 4 hours in their upcoming marathon, a training plan should be developed over the next 3 to 6 months. That's exactly what I said. Thanks, ChatGPT, for literally summarizing everything I said. The base period should last 6 to 8 weeks and focus on building a foundation of strength and endurance. During this period, running should be done at a comfortable pace with an emphasis on increasing mileage every week. Same thing as before. Additionally, strength training and yoga should be incorporated 1 to 2 times per week to build overall strength and flexibility. Race period. The race period should last 12 to 16 weeks. This thing is really hard on race period, and focus on maintaining the base fitness while increasing intensity and specificity to marathon training. During this period, speed work, tempo runs, and long runs should be incorporated. That's interesting, to improve running economy and endurance at race pace. That's not what it said on the last one, so that's interesting. Additionally, strength training and yoga should be continued at a maintenance level. This is what it said in the last one. A sample 12-week. So week 1, Monday rest. Tuesday, 4 miles easy. Wednesday, 5 miles at tempo. Doesn't tell you exactly what the tempo is. Thursday, rest. Friday, 3 miles easy. Saturday, yoga. Sunday, 8 miles long. This is really generic. Like, this isn't doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the tempo pacing? You know, what, well, like, yeah. Okay. Last one. This is interesting. Whether or not the individual can achieve sub 4 hours depending on various factors, such as their current fitness level, running experience, and dedication to training. With proper training, diet, and rest, sub 4 hours is definitely achievable. However, if they are unable to dedicate enough time to training due to their busy schedule, it may be more challenging to achieve this goal. That's so generic and vanilla.
And also, I think that at the age of 50, with everything going on, 420 to sub 4 hours is not definitely achievable. It's a big question mark. A big question mark.
So I'm glad. This is where it just went really generic and it got it wrong. And where the humanity, I keep saying that, in the way that you as a human can talk to this other human and relate, is where a coach comes in.
The big issue for me is that the first one was pretty good. This one isn't so good. But as someone who doesn't know training, doesn't know if they're getting a good plan or a bad plan. So they're going to go to ChatGTP. They might be getting a good one like the first one, or they might be getting this one, which isn't so good. And I think could set that person up who already has a hamstring injury and needs to be sorting. It hasn't addressed the hamstring issue at all. That could be a big issue. And we need to look at the biomechanics on that. So there's a lot of issues with the second one that I'm not so happy with. But I think it's it's an exciting time. I think if we can control it and use it wisely, it can create more free time for coaches to focus on the bits they need to be doing and the personal touches, the human interaction.
I said the same thing earlier, and I may or may not, put this at the end. But yeah, I think we get rid of the repetition of certain things that people have to do, and we have this analyze things that would take me a while, or I just don't have the brain capacity to do, and allow me to really look at people's holistic lives when I coach people. And I think that is where it will work. And again, will it get to the 10%, the 1% gap? Because right now it's like kind of there. I'd say it's 60% there, but that other 40% is where it gets it really wrong. And that 40% can lead you down a black hole where you as a runner like, oh, I got this plan off ChatGPT. And then it's like, oh, now I'm injured. Well, I'm burned out. I can't do it. And it's like, ChatGPT, you got me, whereas a coach can adapt. This isn't adapting. That's another thing. This doesn't adapt. So, maybe you can keep feeding it over time. But I think this is where a Garmin would kind of adapt, kind of even, the smartwatches. Well, you're on Coros now, so I can't even say Garmin too much. I don't know. You're getting the big money from Coros. So I don't, Coros even, like, I think Coros is doing some cool stuff, but it's still just a robot. So I don't want to hate on Coros, because Coros, I'll take your money. You want to sponsor this podcast, by all means you can. So, but Coros is, what would you say Coros is doing better stuff in the AI area than Garmin?
They're developing more stuff in the AI, their route planner, their pace, that your pace. So when you off-road, it predicts, your pace that you'll be running on the flat. Things they're trying a lot more, I think, than Garmin. They're definitely trying a lot harder. And they're building up the stats. But essentially, it's still a watch. What you need to do is, maybe the best thing is to take that data and then down the line throw it into ChatGTP, because that's a bigger bot for analyzing it. But the data is good if you know how to interpret the data, and that's the problem. Some people will take certain things like, oh, my VO2's fallen again. It's just the way that it analyzes it. I'm really unfit. No, you've just got to accept that the temperature's gone up, 30 degrees. You're sweating a lot more. Your core temperature's more, so your heart rate is going to be high for the same thing. So the watch isn't quite there, but I think maybe chat could pick those things up if you feed it the variables. But then what you need to be a coach almost to know what questions to ask it. So we asked ChatGTP specific coaching variable questions that maybe a novice runner wouldn't know how to ask the questions to ChatGPT to get the answers, elicit the answers that we need to get. So that is the other issue. We know what questions to ask to get the answers.
Look, we learned a lot today. I learned a lot. We learned about, how to take a runner who was me in there, straight out of uni, a young runner that has a bit more speed and then wants to do more marathons and 5K, because doing track races when you're basically out of university is pretty hard to do, as in you got to either be masters or it's just hard to do those things.
So the takeaway is you're going to use band work as a warm-up before racing, and you're going to incorporate more longer intervals into your training to get quicker.
There we go. Yeah, and then when I turn 50, I'll then make sure that I prioritize me having a good time in life over trying to run a fast time, and also taking care of my parents when they're if they're sick. So that is the takeaways for today. Mike, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
If you want to learn more about this topic, we went into further detail. You should go and check that out right here.